Alright. Holy biscuits. It has been a long time since I've last gotten a chance to record something. It has been hella busy. I'm here a month later than I was expecting to be. Vacation got pretty nuts. Well, afterwards. And then that was just, we're gonna try something new as far as recording, so if you're watching the stream, nothing should be different. But I am trying to do. I realize I have some storage devices so I can like output recordings onto the video. Except the problem I was running into, and I was just trying to solve it at the beginning of the stream. Ooh, we got some drop frames. I hope that's not from just now. I'm gonna keep an eye on that. But basically I want to see if I can record and stream now. See if we can get some like better quality videos, and then I don't have to worry about the streaming. I have like a dedicated 120 gigs to just like set aside for video editing. Hopefully. Sadly, I could not get it to stream. I'll have to do more, and it's fine because we've already started this, but maybe for like the next game, I'll have to figure it out by then because we are dropping a couple more. Yeah, my old PC isn't the powerhouse it could be, so it's like, I don't know if the recording is going to be throwing off more issues. It's definitely something I'm keeping an eye on. Ooh, yeah, the frames drop. Hold on, let me stop the recording. But yeah, I'm trying to basically find a way where I can record it and stream it and get like a higher quality video. Yeah, the recording definitely, I just saw it affect frame rate a lot. Holy crap, I turned it on. I think I had 0 drop frames, and then it went to like 600 within like 2 minutes. So we'll find something else to test it on. It's not this. I'll have to like learn it offline, but I wanted to get back into Metal Gear Rising because it was a whole last month basically, maybe even more. I don't even remember. Vacation was so long ago, and then shit got crazy when I got back at work and stuff, so yeah, sorry about that if you've been waiting for these videos, but yeah, sometimes that be life, man. Sometimes that's how it be. And I know Dead Space is out, and I want to play that. I still gotta play Callisto at some point. It's just, there's too much shit going on, man. But I think this is gonna be the perfect thing I need at the moment to break that up. Man, I can't believe the video recording really just dunked on the frames. Holy crap. Yeah, we're gonna figure that out next time. We'll get this out of here. Goodbye, mouse. Alright, so let's continue. Yeah, it was... I meant to come back when I got back from vacation, but then it was a long travel trip, and it was just like so much stuff, so I just took some time. I've been playing a bunch of RPGs and shit, so it's just like that plus just work getting busier and picking up, and lots of stuff going on. Lots of stuff going on outside of that as well, so it's just like a lot of my times I just was big chill and relaxing, watching some shit, playing some RPGs. Now it's time. We're gonna sadly start with some chats. Well, sadly or not sadly, we'll see.
Boris, I got a visual on Dolzaev and Mistral. Looked like they were arguing over something. Mistral's heading up the force at the refinery, correct? We're sure on that?
Yes, but I'm not sure how good a commander she is. As a fighter, talented, yes, I know, but...
Well, neither one looked very happy. Maybe she'll withdraw.
Oh, I doubt that. She may not like him, but she will follow her orders. She is just the leader on the ground here, I think. Someone else is calling the shots behind cover.
All right. But what's the end game here? Say I die and we can't stop them. Then what? Are they even capable of forming a real government? Do they think the people here would support Dolzaev?
Good question, Tovarich. History shows it is a much easier thing to take a government than to keep it. An unpopular regime can only ignore the will of the people for so long before they rise up. And trying to do all this with PMC soldiers? Difficult. And very, very expensive.
Someone else must be bankrolling this for their own reasons. Someone with very deep pockets. Who stands to benefit the most from all this?
Most likely someone with an interest in that refinery. The plant has pipelines connecting with Sochi in Russia and Supsa in Georgia. Crude oil from the Caspian Sea is refined in Sukhumi and then sent on to Russia.
Oil. I wonder if Dolzaev knows he's being used. Then again, I wonder if he'd even care.
Alright, what's next?
What do you think Dolzaev and
Wait,
that
was this
woman
the same?
were discussing? Even your ears could not catch it, huh?
No. Even enhanced hearing doesn't help when it's too far for sound vibrations to travel.
A pity they were outdoors. We could have deployed laser surveillance unit if they were inside, near window.
Yeah, maybe if conditions were perfect. I'd have to be lined up just right to get the beam directly in front of the glass. And there's the problem of noise, too.
I was just thinking
true
about
enough.
this. I was like, does this actually work?
Anyway, not much point talking about it now. Better I just head over there and wrap this up.
Of course, of course. I only wonder because I have no idea what Dolzaev is thinking. The more intel we have, the better.
Relax, Boris. Once I take out Mistral, the rest will be easy.
Let us hope so.
Yeah, the other thing too that I just remembered is like I didn't have a. I came back from break 2 and my controller, the cable for my controller was finicky, and this is a game, and it would disconnect randomly, and this is a game that I cannot have the controller disconnected. So halfway through the break, when I was like, oh yeah, I should start recording and streaming again, I plug in my PS4 controller, and it's just like, yeah, I am connected maybe sometimes. And then it would just like give up. I'm like, I cannot play Metal Gear Rising and be like in the middle of an intense fight and then just have it DC. Well, then I just get obliterated.
Boris, any idea where they're getting the money to fund this operation? Assembling this many cyborgs can't come cheap. Not to mention getting them all here.
There are two questions we have about the money. Is Dolzaev paying Desperado out of his own pocket?
And if not, then who is?
Duh. We do not know size of Dolzaev's war chest, only that he has some funding. Insurgent does not always mean the dirt-poor guerrilla with a hunting rifle and homemade bomb. Some rebel groups are very well funded. In Arab oil nations, for instance.
Right. They have benefactors who share the same ideology.
There is also a chance some other party is backing Desperado directly, creating conflict for their own reasons, like the Patriots used to. Many groups stand to profit from wars, yes? Not just PMCs. Arms maker, contractor. Perhaps it is this kind of corporation behind him.
The oil interests alone could make billions here.
Duh. Already this violence so near the Abkhazia-Sochi pipeline is affecting markets. An interruption in the pipeline would shift the balance of power between the world's oil giants. Whether it's Dolzaev's goal or no, many groups stand to gain a lot of money from this mess.
As they do, as they always do in this
I've been
universe,
thinking
and in the normal world.
What Sundowner said. How peace in Africa was a problem for him. Do you remember?
Yeah. Doesn't sound like somebody fighting for an anti-Inmani faction, does it?
Murder,
The
right?
Prime Minister definitely had his detractors. Anyone in that position would. But he listened to them, treated them fairly. There was no real injustice for the opposition to rally around. So the rival factions never got that popular or that well-funded. There's no way they could afford all this.
But it does not make sense for Desperado to be acting alone here either. Even if they trigger full-blown war, there is no guarantee they would get the contract. Perhaps this is about natural resources? The last civil war was over precious metals.
You think big business hired Desperado to shake things up?
Who can say? At least it has not grown into a real civil war.
Ended by big war.
Yet.
We need to figure out who's at the root of all this if we're gonna end it.
But knowing is only half the battle. It is the other half that will get you killed.
Well, no matter what, this mission has a nice side benefit. Putting a dent in Desperado will screw whoever's backing them, too.
Our focus is to help the Abkhaz people. But if we hurt those responsible for this on the way, well, so be it.
And Borisov's got tons
Hey,
of stuff.
Boris, I know this probably isn't the best time for this, but...
No problem. Ask me anything. My goal is to have open company, hiding nothing from its employees.
Right. Well, there were a few big proposals we had in the works, right?
What do you mean?
You know, my doing tactical drills with the Brazilian Special Ops Force in Rio, playing the bad guys in that South African anti-terror police training program, on-site security consulting for the Swiss.
Yes, we were working on a few things, weren't we?
Well, I thought so, but they're not in Maverick's task management database.
Well, right then. We've had to freeze those proposals. Temporarily, you see?
You're putting them on ice?
They would be too much distracting for you. We need to focus on current op.
That doesn't seem necessary.
This doesn't sound
You're
very
gonna
transparent.
disappoint a lot of prospective clients.
Well, yes, but
This is about money, isn't it?
I should not have
Yeah,
tried to
literally,
hide it.
it's like open.
Right. Open
Yeah.
company, remember?
Well, yes, but we can't afford for you to be too shaken to complete your mission.
Boris, I'm fine. I know it's not all my fault, but my client was killed. Kinda expect to lose some work after that.
Yeah, not your fault, but my responsibility in the end. We were far too lightly equipped. No one on the field made mistakes.
It's a third world country. We were working with a shoestring budget. If we went in heavier, burning Maverick cash, we'd have been in the red.
And that is the tricky part about this business, yes? But what is past, and too early to worry about the future. Just focus on the matter at hand.
Okay.
What do you think Dolzaev and that
Okay, good.
even
No,
a bit
we're good
Yeah,
there.
and there's... Anyway, better
I own more.
Relax.
What?
You get all that, kid? The woman with Dolzaev. That's Mistral?
Yep, the only female member of the Winds of Destruction. The name is from a cold, dry
think this is
regional
cool. I
wind
like
in
these
France
winds
that
of
blows
destruction.
from the Alps down to the Mediterranean.
She French?
Yep, born in Algeria, though. It was a French colony until they declared independence in the early 60s. Haha, but you already knew that.
Yeah. They were the last French colony in Africa.
You know your history. Plenty of French colonial families still live there. Pied Noir, they're called.
I've heard the term. The main character in that Camus novel, The Stranger, was one.
You also find a lot of Algerians who've immigrated to France, although they put a stop to that a while ago.
Yeah. A lot of European countries seem to be clamping down on immigration lately.
Mistral joined the Foreign Legion to get her citizenship.
A woman legionnaire?
And not the first. There was one that served in the North Africa campaign during World War II. Anyway, Mistral's been doing PMC work ever since her Legion discharge. We're not sure why she went cyborg. She's officially leading the force at the
Borg.
refinery, but she is also a combatant. Don't have anything on her combat style, but do not underestimate her. The Winds of Destruction are trained killers, all of them. They didn't let her in because of her looks.
I don't need a reminder. I won't let my guard down.
Yeah, but, speaking of her looks, she's got, well, I mean,
Alright, calm down, Kev.
huge. Just don't get distracted, okay?
Sounds like you should take your own advice there, Kev. So, Kev, what exactly goes on here anyway? I mean, obviously refining oil, but what all's involved with that? How careful do I need to be?
Skip that week in science class, huh? All right, how much do you know already?
Just the basics. They take crude and refine it into gas and stuff. Other usable fuels, right?
Well, yeah, and stuff. Kerosene, liquefied petroleum gas, naphtha, jet fuel.
Naphtha?
The raw material for ethylene, which is then the raw material for polyethylene plastics. Crude oil is used for a lot more than just fuel, you know. These days, it's the core component of just about every chemical product.
Okay.
Crude contains a lot of molecular hydrocarbons and impurities. The refinery distills and extracts these hydrocarbons at their different boiling points. Once the impurities are removed, what's left can be used to make gasoline and so on.
Right. So, pretty much exactly what I said in the first place.
Oh, well, if you know all this already, I guess we're done here.
I could use a bit more detail on...
All right, cool then. Kevin out.
Justified.
Hey, Kev. That piece of shit who killed Enmani. Is he one of
Get him,
those
Kev.
almighty winds?
Yeah. Goes by Sundowner.
I love
It's a folk name for this warm air current in Southern California. He's also, well, not the formal head of Desperado, but pretty much their de facto leader. Let's see. Born in Alabama, family was poor. Solid student, decent grades, but no money for college, so he joined the army. Says he fought in Panama in '89, then Iraq again, Afghanistan. In 2008, he drops out of the service and starts doing merc work for various PMCs. He was active all through the SOP years. Built up quite a reputation. Apparently, the Sundowner handle comes from all the blood he leaves behind. Looks like the sunset.
It's such a cool visual.
An IED put him out of action for a few years.
Of some person's a piece of
Cyborg
shit.
Tech brought him out of retirement. The Army investigated him for possible war crimes. A few times, looks like. Desecrating remains, torturing POWs, some wrongful deaths. No convictions, though.
Pretty rosy past, huh? Not that I'm one to talk.
Hey, come on, buddy. You know that's not fair. You were just a kid. You didn't know what you were doing. And it's not like they gave you a choice.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot
Thanks,
that
Kev.
they know that already. They know his past from the beginning. I mean, I guess it's explaining the other.
You dig up anything more on
games?
Jetstream, Sam?
Yeah, actually a bit. Still a lot of missing pieces.
I'll take what I can.
Right. Full name, Samuel Rodriguez. Born in Brazil, so I guess that'd be more like Samuel Rodriguez. He's actually not one of the Winds of Destruction. He's not even a Desperado employee.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't actually
Didn't
have the
seem
outfit.
like your
except
typical
for his arm.
PMC to me.
His father ran a Brazilian Kenjutsu dojo.
Genjutsu. That's a school of Japanese swordplay.
A lot of Japanese immigrated to Brazil way back when. They brought martial arts with them. Those evolved and became their own offshoots. You've heard of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right? It's their variation on Judo. Brazilian Kenjutsu's the same kind of thing. A different evolution of the old samurai sword skills. Bit of capoeira and some other stuff mixed in. Anyway, I did some digging. Apparently, the Rodriguez dojo was a big proponent of the Uridachi style.
Uridachi. A.K.A. Setsujinken. The murdering sword. Basically the polar opposite of my sword of justice.
Rodriguez Kenjutsu uses kicks, sword butts, even throws. Unpredictable and very deadly. Anyway, this is interesting. Sam's father was killed by one of his pupils.
What? I don't
There were
remember
rumors
that.
one of the cartels was involved, but it's not clear how or why. And after that, Sam disappears for a while, then comes back, kills the guy who killed his dad, and leaves Brazil. He travels the world for a while, taking odd jobs,
I thought you got killed by someone in
bodyguard, cleaner for the
Desperado.
mob, etc., etc. Made a big name for himself in the criminal underworld, especially in Central and South America. One story has Sam taking out a mafia hit squad, 10 men, all with assault rifles, using only his sword.
Not unheard of for a cyborg.
This was back in the early 2000s.
Come on. He did that without enhancements? And pre-SOP?
That's the story anyway. And he's a cyborg now, so he could only be stronger. Not to freak you out or anything.
I told you, Kev. I got a reading on his fighting style from last time. And my body's been upgraded. I'll be fine.
Yeah, no. I know you will be.
That's interesting that he freaks out. He's just like, how'd he do that without a cyborg? It's like, bro, you know Snake. Snake has done like hundreds of missions like that where he's potentially killed lots of people. You shouldn't be surprised that there could be another one.
Hey, Kev. You have anything on that sword Sam was using? Didn't seem like your garden variety high-frequency blade.
It's not. It's a samurai sword. The real deal. 16th century make, handed down in his family ever since. Sam had it recast as a high-frequency blade. Doesn't say by who.
Is this something I need to worry about?
Maybe. You know the basics of sword making, right? The harder the metal, the better it cuts, but also the more brittle it is. So a sword's gotta be sturdy, but also just pliable enough to absorb shock without breaking. Walking that line, striking that balance, that's what makes sword crafting an art. Japanese swords fuse different types of iron, each with different amounts of carbon. Different levels of flexibility, in other words. So the blade can be tough and razor sharp.
And that gets multiplied when the sword gets the HF treatment?
Yeah. Basically, the high-frequency upgrade sets the blade vibrating really, really fast, right? That vibration acts on the electron shells of atoms in the sword and the local electromagnetic field. When the EMF achieves resonance, the blade's bonding is strengthened. At a quantum level, it's like the entire sword is made up of the exact same particle type. It also disrupts any atoms it comes into contact with. Say, those that make up the target. Their electron clouds shrink from exposure to quantum decoherence at the Planck scale. In other words, it electrically severs the bonds that keep the target's atoms together.
That's sick.
You lost me around the EMF part.
And that's the dumbed-down explanation. To be honest, even I don't understand all the details. Point is, an HF upgrade is like an amplifier. It multiplies what's already there. So Sam's badass blade might give him the edge. I mean, you know what I mean.
The original sword was really that good?
Sounds like it. Says here it's a Murasama blade.
Murasama. Sounds familiar.
One of the top 10 best-known sword makers worldwide, easy. In Japan, he is legendary. They say his swords thirst for blood, that they choose who will wield them, you know, that sort of thing.
Ooh, now I really am scared.
I know, right?
I always thought it was Muramasa, but that makes, now that I've read it, and I'm not an idiot, like I'm not a child.
Right. Head for the oil refinery.
Yeah. That makes sense, Murasama. That's how it's spelled. Duh. Alright, Doctor, what do you got?
Dragon, the Mistral
Oh, of course.
woman. Is she truly a full-body cyborg?
That's what the intel
course this is
says,
what it's
at
got.
least. Why? You notice something?
Indeed. Two somethings, in fact. Based on their movements, her chest region did not appear to be artificial.
You can tell that just from what I saw?
Indeed. After some detailed image analysis, I am 80% certain that is her own natural torso. If it is indeed a cyborg, Jesse, it is the most advanced I have ever seen. Such technology would not come cheap. It would mean whoever
Go to Horny Jail.
Desperado is likely quite wealthy.
Probably so. As far as Mistral goes, it really doesn't matter to me. Natural, synthetic, man, woman, an enemy is an enemy.
Ah, are you not even the least bit curious?
Thank you. Thank you for just hanging out.
Hey Doc, Kev mentioned a lot of the high-ranking military were brain-jacked. Can you give me any more on that?
Well, it
The
is not
Kojima
my
horniness
area
is
of
popping in here.
expertise, but I have working knowledge of such matters, yes. Much of it is similar to cybernetics, you know.
Makes sense. A cyborg's frame is reading signals directly from the brain.
Indeed, brainjacking employs nanomachines to stop these signals from reaching a normal body. The pilot can then substitute their own signals and control the victim. They can govern all motor movement, but not the victim's thoughts. It is not mind control. More like a puppet. The subject will not move on their own. The pilot must send control signals.
You can't just implant an idea like a hypnotist.
Precisely. You must manipulate them directly. Now, there are several methods for doing this. The pilot can act out the desired behavior and send the resulting electric impulses in real time. For example, the master raises his right hand, the victim does the same. The master says, Arschgeige, and the victim does as well.
Yeah, I get the idea, Doc.
Another method is to set an AI in control as a victim. Less convincing, but less labor-intensive. The AI can access the subject's memory center, at least, to recognize acquaintances and the like.
But anyone looks really closely, and the gig is up.
Mm-hmm. Mimicking behavior from surface memories is difficult, you know. Quite difficult. AIs are still very poor at replicating more subtle cues, such as the manner of speaking. As a result, often the victim can barely pass as a human, much less any certain individual. With the current tech, a passing acquaintance might be fooled, but not a close friend. Not for long.
Good. The idea of AIs controlling people is bad enough. At least I'll be able to tell if it happens to someone I know.
The deepfakes were getting pretty
So, Doc,
close.
if brainjacking can access someone's memory, can't we basically see everything in their past?
Well, that would depend on precisely what you mean by see their past. The brain does not store every single detail the senses take in, you know. It records highlights, further simplified into a highly symbolic form, all to lighten the amount of data. We know how the brain reacts to what it was previously aware of. We can even gauge the emotion provoked. But reproducing memories? No. I've seen little progress in research to this area.
But say we directly linked my brainstem with the nanomachines of a brainjacking victim. Couldn't I read their memories?
There have been attempts at such things, but it is not so simple, you know. The connections between successive memories make up one's identity. If you disturb that, for example, say we remove all memories you have of being yourself and replace them with my own.
Yeah.
You would feel you were the great Dr. Wilhelm Vogt.
True.
You would behave very similar to how I do. However, what if instead you kept your own memories and we added mine to them? You would feel you are both Raiden and Wilhelm Vogt. Suddenly your memories would not lead one to the next. You would be confused, disoriented, without a sense of which man you were, and thus how you should behave. So, you see, the very concept is not practical for most military applications.
That's wild.
In trying to read an enemy's mind, you would, in a sense, become that enemy.
You wouldn't know which side you were fighting for.
Precisely. Cyborg memories are completely different, of course. A cyborg's visuals are often monitored by outside parties, much as we do with yours. This visual data can, of course, be recorded for later analysis. All with full video and all in the holographic memory in their left hands.
So you can just sit back and enjoy the movie?
Well, it's not always recorded, mind you. And even then, there's the issue of locating the desired data buried inside all that video. You might need to comb 10 days of recordings from 10 cyborgs to find a single person or document. That is 100 days of work. Even replayed double speed, 50 days.
Can't you automate?
Of course. Flag any time a certain face appears or if certain words are said. But the process is not perfect, and it still requires time, you know. Besides which, often one doesn't know what they are searching for until they find it. But should you ever require a search through your memory, Raiden, I would be happy to assist you.
Yeah, for a modest fee, I'm sure. I have to say, Doc, it's almost scary everything nanomachines are capable of. SOP, brainjacking.
Oh, but the cyborg is capable of even more.
You think?
I do. With nanomachines. You know this name has always bothered me, nanomachine.
Oh,
They are much
what do
more
you
than
mean?
smaller versions of existing machines. So much more. You cannot just take a motor and make it all teeny tiny, you know? A human chromosome is 10 micrometers long, roughly. A nanometer is 1/100th that length. These devices must be crafted at the molecular level to work at that scale. It is far more to do with molecular biology than mechanical engineering.
Okay, Doc, but where are you going with it?
It is, however, now possible to create proteins that simulate viral functions.
It's like
Effectively
Kojima
fooling
was like,
natural human
I'm
cells
upset I
into
killed with
taking on a
nanomachines.
wide
I kind
range of less conventional characteristics, boosting strength or resilience, or even regenerative ability. Not to CNT muscle fiber levels, of course. After all, these molecules and proteins can only make use of the materials, that is to say, the atoms that naturally occur within the human body.
I'm not sure I follow. Are you saying cyborg tech is already more advanced than nanomachines?
Well, not necessarily. But the potential for future growth seems much greater, does it not? Natural means can only rearrange what is already there. Boost one ability too far, and you might take away from another. If the human race is to truly evolve, I believe we must shed this DNA-driven organic flesh and exchange it for something far more functional. Cyborg technology seems better suited to this purpose, at least in terms of military applications. But then, who knows? A revolution in nanotechnology could be occurring even as we speak. Progress rarely takes the form we expect, you know? Such is the great frustration and glory of science.
I was gonna say, I wonder if Kojima came up with the Wolbachia for Metal Gear Solid 5 because he was sick of nanomachines, but then at the same time, this is also the game that made the meme of the nanomachine son. So, probably not.
Doc, I'm seeing Desperado cyborgs explode here after I take them down.
For security purposes, I would imagine. Cyborgs often use classified tech from suppliers who take great pains to maintain their trade secrets. Most likely, these models have a self-destruct failsafe that triggers once they cannot defend themselves.
So they die even though their brains could be transferred to a new body?
I understand your concern, Raiden, but I'm sure these conditions were clearly stated in their contracts. This is one area that is well regulated by the law. PMCs must inform their workers of such things. These men knew the danger when they signed up. No doubt they were compensated for the additional risk.
Right.
You should be more concerned with the potential for data loss in these explosions. They could damage or even erase the holographic memory in their left hand.
Yeah, that was really
Though
cool.
to think on it, the data is most likely automatically wiped before detonation, just in case it would survive the explosion and resulting shockwave, you know.
Yeah. Sure, Doc.
You must remove the hands before their critical system shutdown sequence can activate. Remember it this way. Before you kill, make certain no cyborg is left with a left hand.
So much fun.
Have I told you of the research I was conducting before
Have
we
not.
met?
Several
Wait,
times.
do you?
It was the Cold War. East Germany. Ah, the DDR. My field was infantry weapon research. It was a magical time. Secret research. Top secret, you know. All for the Soviets, but so exciting. I was free to explore wherever my findings took me. I never had a budget request refused. Not once. I was young then. Working, always working. Most nights I would sleep under my desk, you know. Call it Ostalgie, but East Germany wasn't so bad. Ostalgie being German for East Nostalgia, of course.
Of course.
Yes, the bureaucracy had its problems. But my colleagues, the discoveries. Ah, well. In any case, after unification, they suddenly shut down our entire facility. Everything I'd worked for, my job, my research, poof, gone just like that.
Sounds rough.
I've often said I would be a homeless vagrant if myoelectric prosthesis hadn't lent me a hand. Artificial limbs were crude props then, you know, designed only for appearances. They were hardly functional. If you lost an arm or leg, you were disabled, and that was that. The key was running actuators based on electromyography signals from the skin's surface, of course. This enabled a great range of movement, even more so than a natural limb. It was then I realized my knowledge of robotics and engineering could come in handy. So, I contacted
That's
a
supposed to be a
prosthesis
weird pun.
laboratory in Dortmund, and I was hired immediately. Patents filed in my name made quite a bit of money, you know. Soon I was made the head of my own lab.
And that's when you started filling orders from PMCs.
Indeed. From contractors who'd been referred by their employers, to be exact. Workers from your industry quickly became our best customers. We were flooded with orders. But my field was never full body conversions. You can imagine my surprise when Boris contacted me.
Yeah. Our previous cybernetics maintenance guy went into hiding.
But I built on my knowledge and now consider myself an expert on all cyborgs, both partial and full body.
Glad I could help with your on-the-job training. Seriously, though, we're lucky to have you on board.
Yes, I should think we have both benefited from our arrangement. Which reminds me, do not forget our other arrangement. The cyborg's left hands, if you would.
Got it.
Yeah.
Raiden, the
Okay, we got all that. Alright, this is Courtney now.
Probably as far.
Raiden, you need to save?
I do not, actually. Well,
Did
I
you
will
catch
after.
all that with Dosaev and Mistral?
Yeah, I was monitoring the whole time. Dolzaev's not really what I expected. I've seen his file, plenty of photos, but I guess I expected someone more, I don't know, threatening?
Didn't seem too friendly to me.
No, I mean, you hear terrorist, you think of some cold, calculating professional. Dolzaev looks more like some guy off the street.
Cold, calculating professional types don't usually bother with terrorism. It's too risky. Most terrorists are ordinary people, radicalized one way or another.
Yeah, I guess so.
Of course, that doesn't make what they do any easier to forgive. What about Mistral? What'd you think?
Well, she's certainly attractive. Probably an artificial face, though. I'm guessing most of her is
Why do people care?
artificial.
Roger that.
These people.
So Mistral's from Algeria. Ever been?
No, you?
Was this the food
Once,
part?
for a consulting job. Pretty short trip, though.
I hear it's
Good
pretty
part of
safe there
Kojimbo.
now, compared to how things were at the start of this decade.
Yeah, I was able to slip a little sightseeing in. Pretty nice spot for a vacation. Kind of hot, though. 80% of it's the Saharan desert, and wow, it was just like you'd imagine. Much sand. You could easily imagine camel caravans trekking beneath the early evening moon. It was like something from another world.
Yeah? I thought only a sixth of the Sahara was sandy like that. The French carried out a bunch of nuclear tests there too, I remember.
But once you reach the Mediterranean coast, it's a totally different place. All these white-walled buildings framed against intense blue sea. It's a really stark contrast.
Were you in Algiers? I know that the capital looks a lot like that.
Yep. The local cuisine's totally French-influenced. I'll never forget this one lunch near my hotel. A baguette sandwich and café au lait. Simple and simply unforgettable. Oh, there were a bunch of sweet shops in town too. High-quality European candy, but so cheap.
Sounds like you ate your way across the country.
Well, food's an important part of local culture, you know. Oh, and speaking of which, the seafood. I didn't expect to see Mediterranean fish in African cuisine, but it was also fresh and flavorful. They'd fry up small fish whole, then drizzle them with lemon juice. I could have eaten that all day.
Sounds like a lot of calories.
I tried to stay active, you know.
Hey, did you know my visual analyzers can tell me how much someone weighs?
Yeah, I'll have to talk with Doc about disabling that one.
Okay, are they able to actually see each other? I guess so, because when they
Ever tried Abkhazian
Polly like
cuisine?
do the thing out of the way.
Georgian, yes, but I mean, I don't really know much about Abkhazia, so it'd be nice to try it though, since we're this close and all.
Huh. Even you haven't tried it? Now I'm really curious.
What do you mean, even me?
Well, before we head to any new country, you always hit up local spots that serve their cuisine, right? You know, your little research trips.
Oh, come on. Not always.
What's wrong with
I
that?
just think it's interesting to compare local interpretations of ethnic food to the real thing. Plus, it's a great way to get familiar with a big part of any nation's culture. That's all.
Okay. But no time for research this time around, huh?
Well, like I said, I've had Georgian food before. And most of the Eastern Bloc sees Abkhazia as just another part of Georgia. But yeah, really tasty. They had this incredible cheese bread. And the wine.
Georgian wine is famous after all, though I hear you won't find it in Russia.
They say most Abkhazian cuisine is closer to Turkish food than what you'll find in the rest of Georgia.
Ooh.
Apparently only their wine resembles what they serve in Georgia.
I do like some Turkish.
How are things back at Control, Courtney?
Things? Things are fine. Same as usual, I guess. Russia is, you know, Russia. Not that I've left HQ much to see anything, really.
No concerns about security? Isn't that a civilian airport you're stationed at?
Sochi International, yeah. But we're fine. We have our own cyborg detail on the job. Plus, any trouble and we can just take off. Literally. One of the perks of housing your HQ in a giant transport plane, I guess. Now, if anyone wanted to mess up this op, they'd have a much easier time coming after you directly.
I'm not so sure. Have you seen this new body in action? It's amazing. It's ready for anything. Unless they...
Oh, Raiden, yeah. Your body? It's so amazing.
Very funny. Yeah, you know what I meant.
Oh, is it getting hot in here? Or is that just your body in action?
All right. If you're done, I'm going to get back to the mission.
Okay, I'll stop.
Thanks.
For a guy with a bod like yours, anytime.
I like how Courtney and Kevin both tease him a lot.
By the way, I picked up something interesting on that tilt rotor back in Africa.
Desperado's getaway vehicle? What do you got?
I traced its registration.
Mr.
It comes up as
Lightning
a,
Bolt.
get this, mail transport. A Somali civilian helicopter.
Not even the right type of aircraft. So the registration is fake. Well, par for the course for Desperado, I guess.
I wonder why they bothered with the tilt rotor in the first place.
Why not? They can take off and land without an airstrip, virtually anywhere. Hover, too. Meanwhile, they have the speed and range of a fixed-wing plane, or close to it. And they're quiet. You don't get all that BVI noise from the blades like with a normal copter.
BVI.
Aren't they more accident-prone, though?
They were. Used to call them Widowmakers. The rotor tech is really complex. There've been a lot of mishaps over the years, but each one's helped perfect the design. These days, they're as safe as any other aircraft, helicopter or fixed wing. Most of VTOL's bad rep is left over from the thrust vectoring jets of the past.
Ah, no wonder you know all this. Says here you took down a Harrier once. Wait, by yourself?
Well, I did have a rocket launcher. Wasn't so tough while it was in hover mode.
I bet you're just being modest. Must have been a pretty crazy op you were on.
You don't know the half of it.
She really doesn't.
Bryden, what you said before about your
This is
sword
the whole
being a
Patriots
tool of
thing.
justice, I just want to say I agree 100%. I wish all PMCs thought that way.
Glad to hear you say that.
You mentioned it was part of some samurai code?
Yeah. I didn't grow up using a sword. I fell into it by chance, during a mission. After that, I decided to train with the HF blade. I studied a lot of samurai techniques. I really got into it. Started learning more and more about ancient Japan and the samurai code. I tore through stacks of books, movies, anything I could get my hands on.
Somehow hard to imagine you settling in with a big bucket of popcorn.
What? A cyborg can't have hobbies? I'll have you know I'm actually a huge movie
A
buff.
third
Okay.
Kojimbo part.
So that's where you picked up this Sword of Justice creed?
Yeah. Most of it from a single master named Munenori Yagyu. He founded a school of swordsmanship on the
Horny food
idea
and
that
movies.
violence can be necessary
Not
for
in
the
that
greater good. He called it
In fact, probably the
Katsujinken,
other way.
the life-giving sword. Yagyu believed power isn't evil in itself. It's how it's applied that matters. As time went on, Katsujinken incorporated deterrence. It took on the meaning of winning without fighting. Or as I like to say, one sword keeps another in the sheath. That's from George Herbert. He was an English priest, 17th century, almost the same era as Yagyu.
Huh. It's a universal idea, I guess.
You could frame the same message as use of a necessary evil, but I think it's a good mindset for any PMC.
At least as long as there's fighting that requires
That's the
us
whole
in the first place.
nuclear
Which
deterrence
doesn't
thing.
seem likely to change anytime soon.
What's up?
Alright, I think this is actually a non. We're done with
Okay,
the dialogues.
save complete. Don't let your guard
Yep.
down, okay?
Nice. I thought it was funny where it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna take down Desperado. No, I'm wearing Desperado. I'm like, look, guys, I'm one of you. One of you, I'm in disguise. Oh shit, did I startle them? No. Alright, so yeah, hopefully I remember all the controls after not playing this for so long. I can run up this. What was the secret here? Oh. How'd you see me? You didn't see nothing. Uh-oh, they're coming. Is it L2? Yeah. Yeah, go on, jump up
Someone
here.
there?
Yeah. Wow, he turned around like immediately. What a dingus. What's this guy doing? Woo! Get off! Yeah, I've been playing a bunch of Fire Emblem actually lately during some of these breaks.
Good.
But that's something I'm probably not. I didn't want to record. RPGs, with the exception of like maybe a few things, I'm probably never going to stream. This is too long, and it already takes me long enough to be like I've been playing a playthrough of what's it called? Dragon Age 2 for like almost a year now. So I just like never finish it. That's why I try to just keep to these smaller linear things. Alright, so there's 2 encounters here, like 2 extra encounters if I'm not mistaken. Wait, maybe 1 or 2. But yeah, man, I am glad I made sure I got this controller to not be totally borked for this, because yeah, once the action starts to kick off, there's no shot I would have been able to play this. So that was the. I was trying to mention that earlier, but yeah, it would have been like so hard to play this during the middle of the month. Oh, come on! Oh, okay, leave it. It's fine. We'll get it on this guy. Okay, we almost fucked that up too.
Excellent, very well done.
I was like, oh, wait a minute. Wait, what is the... There it is. Okay, I was like, I actually don't remember the controls. I don't remember the controls, and that is what I was slightly worried about. It's just because of, you know, this is on the hardest difficulty. Stuff. Okay, what was the secret here? Ooh! I think what I need is I want to use the, picture. Let's see here. I don't know where that guy goes. Alright, we can probably... Oh no! Yeah, that's fine.
What happened? You're supposed to be stronger than this.
Yeah, shut up. Alright, what do I have left? Where'd they put me? Alright, I just have to kill these guys again. I know there's a thing where you can throw out a hologram to distract. I thought I would be able to... Oh, excuse me. I thought I'd be able to sneak around them, but I just did not get it. Alright, well... Oh! What are you doing here? Holy shit! Ah! No! Oh! I used the wrong button too. I needed to... Well, no, did I? I don't think you can turn with right stick. Right stick swings the sword. Wow, I didn't know it spawned a whole fucking mini tank. Alright, let's do this right. There we go.
Excellent, very well done.
Yeah, I thought it was very funny that I had Ryan will talk shit probably a lot about Desperado during this whole thing, and I will be wearing the Desperado outfit. Alright, let's... Well, actually, wait, let's cut this first. Okay. So... this thing. Alright, trigger these people to spawn. Alright, now, is it... How do I throw? Move. It's crazy how much of this I remember. I know more of how to like get through these encounters.
Excellent, very well done.
Than I do of the controls. It's kind of crazy. Okay, so...
We intercepted call for backup during your last fight. The caller's position is on your Soliton radar. You can engage if you wish. It is your choice.
I will engage. I believe it's 2 helicopters. Sure. That doesn't really matter. Yeah, I believe it... Oops. I believe it's 2 helicopters, so let's get the Psy. Let's go.
I'm above you!
Is this a lock-on? What the fuck? Oh! I was like, what's happening? And apparently I'm right up missiles. That's so sick. Probably not a good rank. I took just a smidge of damage. Yeah. That smidge of damage really fucked it. It's okay. Okay, actually, I need this next, I think. I was gonna say, the Mistral fight is actually really fun. I was looking forward to that last time. But then, yeah. Everything changed real fast. Because my vacation times got all bumped around. Okay. Check out that refinery.
The cliff is just ahead at the end of the old city. Beyond that is the refinery's backyard.
So what? It's a sheer drop? The refinery's not connected to the city at all?
No, it was only built 2 years ago. There should be a narrow path around there that leads to the plant. It is protected by a fence, but probably you can cut your way through.
Probably.
Probably.
Don't get cocky. Most likely it is Desperado running security down there.
Oh yeah, okay. Back to more of these.
Good. That's the back of the refinery. I see a door there, but it probably has an alarm.
Nah,
Can you use the ventilation duct?
You mean that huge fan?
Just cut off the blades as it spins. Easy, yes?
We got anything on that ray I went up against?
Oh yeah.
We analyzed the wreckage. Its musculature had been replaced with CNT muscle fiber. The same type as you, or most any cyborg. This improved its power output and left more room in the chassis for other equipment. It seems they filled this space with Vetronics and extra weapons.
Like that heat blade and plasma gun. Plasma loses effectiveness in the air pretty quickly, but it's still a hell of a close-range weapon.
Large-scale UGs have a growing problem fighting smaller, more agile opponents. Raiden. This is why we now see UGs armed with new countermeasures, such as this ray head.
There's a ray head.
Good. That's the back of the ship.
Yeah,
You mean...
yeah.
Hey, So, Kev, buddy.
What?
About the refinery.
Oh,
Can
yeah,
I
yeah.
get a quick breakdown
It's like,
of
well,
the
what's he
facilities?
being so
Copy
sheepish
that.
about?
I suppose you should at least know a few basics for the mission. So, like I was saying, the refining process is based around distillation. The tallest building on site is the distillation tower. All the crude oil runs through there first, where it's distilled at different boiling ranges. Lighter components with low boiling points are removed at the top of the tower, heavier ones at the base. The heaviest fuel oil then has the lighter oils and naphtha that distillation didn't remove taken out. Fluid catalytic cracking is what they call it. Other than that, let's see. There's equipment to remove sulfur, a cooling tower to dispose of all the water used. Oh, and the flare stack to eliminate gas waste. You see that thing with flames shooting out the top? That's the stack.
It's burning the gas off?
Yeah, burns it up completely, rendering it harmless. Kinda hypnotic if you stare at it a while, huh? Next door you have a power plant. Pretty
I was
typical for this
asking
type
about
of
that when I was on
facility.
vacation.
And of course the gas tanks. Liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, is pressurized and stored in those round tanks. It's also artificial, but it's got a certain charm, you know? Like the ultimate in utilitarian beauty. A solitary distillation tower, all lit up and set against the setting sun. It's an amazing sight.
Kev, you still with me there?
What? You don't appreciate this kind of stuff? Places like Germany and Japan, people get really into it. Factory sightseeing tours and everything.
Yeah. No, not so much.
I think I just realized when you're doing this, when you're talking to them, they're not actually lip synced. They just have a general talking animation, and they just talk at you. They're not like actually synced up to match what the dialogue is. And they just, because I think it just seems like Kevin and his, like, okay, if he hasn't learned dialogue that's like relevant, pay attention because he's talking, and then you'll see his like shoulders rise up at some point. They go down, and he just keeps, and it will keep going into that like that loop. Here.
Right. FYI, we just confirmed for your next mission.
There's a
Wait.
shoulder thing. Goes
How about
back.
we finish this one first, though? I'd like to see my family again someday, you know? My son's going to forget he even has a father.
90-day contracting tour, buddy. We're all in the same boat. Man, feels like ages since I was back in Virginia.
Yeah.
I don't know about in the same
It'll stop
boat.
when he stops, though.
These guys are out to tear me limb from limb. Worst you are EMF desk jockeys have to worry about are paper cuts.
All right. Guess you don't want to hear what you're old up to then.
Who is...
Desperado.
Where is it this time?
Mexico. Apparently they've got
Oh,
some
they
kind of lab
preload
in
the next
Guadalajara.
mission, basically.
You're going in to investigate claims of human trafficking and illegal dumping.
And our client? Who's picking up the tab? If we're planning to play police all of a sudden, we're gonna need some kind of budget.
No worries there. It's a human rights group we've worked with a few times before. They were conducting their own trafficking investigation when Desperado came up.
Understood. You can brief me when I get back.
Roger that.
Some of these dialogue parts I don't remember as much because after the first playthrough I wouldn't listen to the dialogue anymore. So like I know more of that game than I do of like some of the dialogue and story. Even though this one, like this is probably the Metal Gear story. Well, that's not true. I probably understand some of the other Metal Gear stories more, but this is one of the more modern Metal Gears that I understand probably better than other ones, just because before I'm just like, oh yeah, fun game. Now I'm like actually kind of understand enough to get what's happening.
Where the hell did Desperado get all these cyborgs anyway, Kev?
Hard to say. They're not as rare as they once were, but still. Of all registered PMC troops, we're still talking what? 3% have enhancements? Maybe 5% tops. Mostly career military who got hurt on the battlefield one way or another. Getting their arms or legs back lets them keep earning a living. But most able-bodied soldiers are still reluctant to sacrifice their own healthy body parts. Plus, the surgery is highly specialized. Expensive as hell. Not to mention maintenance costs after that. Unless insurance is footing the bill, most guys couldn't afford enhancements even if they wanted to.
Maverick's got some cyborgs. What's their story? They all wounded in action?
Mostly. I heard a few saved up and paid for it themselves, but just a few. There is this one crazy blonde guy, though. I heard he asked for a full body conversion.
The
Maybe it
Patriots
is. I
didn't
know, it's
leave
really
me
hard
much of
to
a
tell.
body to begin with. I just had Herr Doctor finish what they started.
You know I'm just man. Anyway, yeah, looking at the numbers, cyborg soldiers are still a pretty small minority. Not really surprising when only contractors in developed countries are offered insurance. Third world soldiers get hurt out on the field, and that's all she wrote. They can't work as a merc anymore. Most times, they can't really work at all.
Well, Desperado's up to something, because cyborgs are definitely not in the minority here.
I've heard of some PMCs covering the cost of the surgery for their disabled. The mercs get their career back, sure, but the PMCs aren't exactly running a charity. These guys have to work to pay it off until the company at least breaks even on them. Any cyborg breaks his contract early would probably be in debt for the rest of his life.
You think that's Desperado?
I can't prove it, but sure as hell wouldn't surprise me.
Maybe it is lip sync, but it just is throwing me off because of how they loop the body animation in the back. And then there's just not as much like other, like the lip sync is there, but then there's no facial thing to like really sell what they're saying. So I think that's what's throwing me off. I think it is lip sync actually.
So what kind of deal does Maverick offer its contractors?
Oh yeah, I forgot you're full-time too. You never contracted with us?
Nope.
Yeah, that was
Boris
way
invited me
okay.
on
Yeah,
board
it
the
is.
first time we talked about it. We've known each other since Area 51.
That lip sync was
Didn't have
way
any
more
reason to
egregious
turn
than
down,
the other
so,
ones. So,
yeah,
like, he had like a really
never really
surprised
considered the
and wide
contract
mouth
route.
movement.
Right. Well, it's actually rare for guys on the ground like you to be full-timers. Most of Maverick soldiers are contractors, just like with any other PMC. It just makes sense. After all, it's never the same job twice in this business. Each mission has its own requirements. Force size, skill set, all that crap. So generally, we contract out on a per-mission basis, or a fixed schedule for longer jobs. A lot of US companies are doing it that way lately, not just PMCs. Besides, a good contractor can earn more than most regular full-time employees. Definitely a hell of a lot more than regular military.
And if they want to quit, can they get out of their contract?
Yep. Of course, just up and quitting right in the middle of a mission would cause problems. Just like any other job, you know? We'd want some notice to settle on a new end date, but hold up. You're not thinking of leaving us, are you?
Just curious. You still busy with all that other work, Kev?
You know me, man. Kev of
Kev
all
of all
trades.
trades.
I got a lot on my plate. Briefing prep, arms procurement, client negotiation, HR, biz dev, accounting, you name it. Lately, though, I've been focusing more on sales and on-site coordination. Oh, and advisor work like this.
Never sleep, do you?
Things have been better since Courtney joined up, at least.
You still busy with all
Okay,
You know,
okay,
briefing
okay.
lately.
Never.
All right, Doctor, what are you gonna say about the gas
Are
refinery?
you fully versed in the features of your AR display?
Possibly.
It can serve many functions, you know.
Go on though.
Do I hear un lecture coming
Oh, this is
on?
gonna be
A
unlectured.
lecture? No, of course not. I'm hardly an expert. Of course, I know the first practical application of the technology was for aircraft HUDs. Then head-mounted displays, HMDs. The data could be seen even as the viewer moved their head. As the technology improved, it was integrated into retinal imaging, contact lenses. Soon it became standard issue not just for pilots, but infantry soldiers as well. Of course, with cyborgs such as yourself, the data can be fed directly to the optic nerve. Directly.
No lecture, huh? Anyway, there's more to my augmented reality than just upgraded HMD tech.
Of course there is, Dummkopf. You did not let me finish.
Oh, you weren't finished?
AR is a
Bro,
much
he's never
broader
finished.
concept. It is more a design concept than a particular imaging methodology. It encompasses HUDs, HMDs, any and all manner of visual real-time data
I don't
overlay.
think they said it, but
Though
HMDs
recently,
are
some
head-mounted
reserve
display.
the AR label for virtual objects the subject can both see and touch. For example, your codec menu and zoom slider. Such objects do not exist anywhere in the real world, not even as images. They are fed directly to your optic nerve, so only you can see them. Yet, when you interact with them, sensory feedback is delivered to the nerves in your fingers. It gives you the sense of touching a thing that does not exist.
Beats lugging around a sat radio and giant scope, that's for sure.
There is another school of thought on precisely what constitutes AR.
Seriously, more of this?
I'm curious,
It
Ryan. Shut
defines
your mouth.
AR as anything which obscures the boundary between reality and that experienced by the viewer.
Well, how would that be different from VR?
Because it's
Well, for example, let's say that you
Part
and
of
I
the
are
real
having a
world.
nice chat, face to face. Suddenly, I disappear, poof, and in my place appears a ravishing, nubile young woman. Is the girl the projected image or the reality? Perhaps I was the AR. How would you know?
The accent might be a clue.
Not necessarily.
Such things can be controlled with a simple hack of your auditory nerves.
Well, that's comforting. So how is this different from VR again?
Well, I suppose, strictly speaking, it is rather similar. Both are a method for completely fooling the senses, rather than simply augmenting them. Although, technically it would be
I was about to say, maybe AR
mixed reality, since there are some real elements
It
involved.
has to have real stuff.
Yes, of course. That would be the distinction and the correct term. In any case,
I think
the advance of
augmented
MR
still makes
technology
sense, though.
leads to many interesting philosophical questions. What happens when appearances cease to have meaning? It is no longer see it to believe it, after all. It could make for a great advance in cyborg acceptance, you know. They could project a perfectly normal human body to be seen by anyone who can perceive MR.
I don't know. Sounds like it might cause more problems than it'd solve to me.
Yeah, I would imagine, because if VR is just pure virtual, augmented means it's augmenting what currently exists. Virtual reality means it's a fake space. It's a virtual space. Augmented means it's augmenting what's there. So I don't see why augmented would actually need mixed. Wasn't for the mixed reality, but more that it's mixing virtual and normal reality. You don't need to re-quantify the term.
Hey Doc, what can you tell me about the carbon nanotubes used in artificial muscles?
That's a
I know they're the
diversion
real key behind the
from what we
proliferation
were just
of
talking
cyborgs,
about.
but
Well, a carbon nanotube, or CNT, is a sheet of carbon graphite formed like a tube. They range from 15 nanometers in diameter
Jesus.
all the way down to under 1 nanometer. 1 nanometer, you recall, is one billionth of a meter. Quite small.
That's
As
smaller
you've
than a
likely seen,
chromosome,
the
so-
carbon atoms that make
1
up the
in
sheet
100.
are organized in a 6-point ring shape. These hexagonal structures are connected to each other along their edges.
sort of like a soccer ball.
Precisely. Such structures are known as Buckminster fullerene. CNTs were discovered by accident while scientists were researching other fullerenes. CNTs have assorted properties, each with the potential to drive vast leaps in industrial technology. Consider, for example, that the conducting properties and resistance to strong currents far outclass copper. They have great mechanical strength and can be shaped into incredibly thin form factors, all of which can directly contribute to improving integrated circuits. Furthermore, the atomic links in sp2 carbon are the strongest of all types of atoms. Its tensile strength is greater than even diamond. All that, and its weight is only half that of aluminum.
Damn.
It is also quite elastic, making it ideal for bomb-proofing vehicles, buildings, and other structures.
Sounds like some kind of wonder material.
There have been numerous plans drawn up for orbital elevators in the past. The problem being that no material was strong enough to make them practical. CNTs make such dreams one step closer to reality. You can change their structures by using the right power voltage, and they can withstand temperatures between minus 190 and plus 1500 degrees centigrade. They feature a large surface area and an empty space within the tube. This allows for such things as fuel and catalysts to be stored inside. It's that particular trait which has enabled the development of fuel cell-infused artificial muscles.
Straight out of sci-fi, huh?
Well, truth is stranger than fiction. Science fiction, even. Scientists are currently expanding upon all of CNT's uses. But it has taken a fair amount of time since their discovery for practical implementations to pop up. Historically, mass manufacture was deemed too difficult, the costs astronomical.
Practical manufacturing methods were established in the early 2010s, but the Patriots hushed that up.
Indeed. And now that it's out in the wild, we are finally well and truly in the carbon nanotube age.
I don't know if I trust a space elevator, man.
Stay vigilant, Raiden.
Alright, almost done.
You know, I have to hand it to you guys. Cyborgs are just amazing to me. So much power and speed.
It's not all gravy.
No? How so?
Well, things have improved a lot in the past few years. But back when I was modded for the first time, keeping artificial blood free of impurities was a huge hassle. Artificial muscles need a constant flow of oxygen from a blood source,
Right.
just like the real thing. But it was a challenge getting the kidney units as small as they needed to be. We all had to undergo routine dialysis.
Sounds rough.
I remember some
Used
of
to be
these.
even worse back when Dr. Clark was still
Yo, Dr.
experimenting.
Clark, shout out.
Bad nerve connections.
Shout
would
out to
screw
Metal
with the test
Gear,
subjects,
OG
pain
Metal Gear, not
receptors.
even Solid.
It was torture. Compared to that, I had it
wait.
pretty easy.
It wasn't until recently that you
one or
could eat
two.
and drink like normal people, right?
That's right. We generally use glucose-based nutrient packs to
Willem's
keep
Dr.
the brain
Madgar,
running.
I think.
But we can absorb nutrients orally now, too. Whatever we eat's broken down by nanomachines. And we have taste sensors as well. It's not exactly like it was before. The difference is, I can turn those sensors off if I don't need them. That's been surprisingly useful.
So cyborgs can live pretty much normal lives now?
Well, getting there. We'll need fuel cells and nutrition packs, not to mention regular maintenance. It's a lot of dough. Of course, another big problem's how other people look at you.
How do you mean?
There was a time when I wore artificial skin. Tried to look as close to normal as possible. I've still got some now
People
on my
wouldn't look
face.
weird at you.
The tech at the time wasn't
Never.
great. You still looked pretty unnatural. Maybe you could fool someone from far away, but up close, even a baby could tell I wasn't human. Going out shopping or whatever, you could feel all those eyes on
Yeah.
you. I tried to find something to do other than fight, but looking like I did got me 2 strikes pretty much as soon as I walked through the door.
That sounds terrible.
Well, you appreciated it when people were honest about it, at least. But when they were too polite to just say so, that was rough. Things are getting better these days, though. Artificial skin's improved a lot. And you don't get so many stares now that the general public knows about cyborgs.
Maybe I should look into the cyborg thing, huh? I could eat whatever I want, whenever I want.
Not technically.
Probably cheaper just getting
Oh.
lipo, Courtney.
Jerk.
Oh, I see, I see. You have to worry about the weight gain.
Courtney, there's something I'd like your opinion
Uh-oh.
on.
I'm
What's
concerned,
that?
what is it?
It's how I replenish
okay.
my electrolytes. I'm basically feeding off these cyborgs.
Oh, yeah. That. I don't really see any better options, to be honest. I doubt your old body would have stood up against the Desperado Captains or Jetstream Sam. And if we fail here, it's not only bad for us, but for our clients, and all of Sakumi.
Yeah, you're right.
That Jetstream
Besides,
Sam
it's like
comment
you
will
say,
come back to bite
no
him
one's
later.
forcing them to be here. They chose to throw in with the terrorists.
Yeah.
Look, I won't lie. I don't feel great about it. But in the scheme of things, yes.
Well, just a
I
little
think it's
foreshadowing
justified.
for you. If
Thanks.
you don't know, if you've never played this game,
I
and I'm
guess
saying
it's
that,
never black and white in this
and I think I've been
business,
trying to
is it?
not spoil
No.
certain things, but yeah,
No, it's not.
some foreshadowing for Sam.
Do you and Kevin work a lot together, Raiden?
Well,
Yeah,
Maverick's not that
probably.
big. Unless you're a short-term contractor, you tend to work with the same guys. Last job we were on together, I was hired by the Carabinieri to track down 3 Albanian mafiosos. They'd fled Italy from Negro, and I had to bring back. It wasn't easy. All 3 of them had cybernetic upgrades. Without Kev, I could have been in serious trouble.
He was with an NGO before Maverick, I think, handling disarmament work for the UN.
Non-government organization, I think that
He
is.
and Boris met while working together to resolve a conflict in Africa. They hit it off. So when Boris gave him a job opportunity, he took it.
I kind of wonder why. We're pretty much the opposite of a disarmament outfit.
3 things are needed after a conflict: disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration into society. That's the way it usually goes. I guess Kevin felt like the process was getting to be a joke. Even if the UN taps the group that caused the conflict for post-war cleanup, there's no way of ensuring their sincere cooperation.
Yep.
There's always a chance they'll underreport the number of soldiers they've got on hand.
That, or they only disarm the useless parts of their force. The ones with outdated weapons and gear.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they can hide their standing force, the one with all the up-to-date weaponry, from the UN. Afghanistan saw a lot of that, since the wars were all waged by rival military cliques. Anyway, Kev saw that happening on a daily basis in Africa. Guess he just wanted a job where he had a firmer grasp on what was going on. And then along comes Boris. Kev had to think it over for a while, sure. But, well, here we all are.
PMCs are going to need more people like him. And me too, I guess. You know, civilian viewpoints.
Couldn't agree more.
Nice.
What's up?
That's how you build the ethical PMC.
Okay,
That's
say
what
it
a
complete.
tongue
Don't write
twister
your
that
bar
is.
down, okay?
Ethical, like or like oxymoron rather. That's the word I was looking for. What an oxymoron. Ethical PMC. Yeah. Think about that one. Alright, we are going to take a quick break. So I will see most of you in the next video. But yeah, hopefully the next part is fighting some Mistral. We'll get that fight in there. That's always a good time. And we'll see you in a bit.